the god Thor woke up and he realized his hammer, Mjolnir, was missing.
En morgen vågnede Thor og fandt, at hans hammer, Mjolnir, var forsvundet.
Now this was really a problem because this was one of the major ways that the Asgard area was kept safe from the giants.
Fordi det var ingen lille sag, for uden Mjolnir var Asgard.
Now, Thor looked everywhere, high and low, but no hammer.
Thor ledte over alt efter sin hammer i raseri, men uden held.
So, as it turns out, the goddess Freya had a beautiful cloak made out of falcon feathers, which she lent to Loki to go and see if he could find that hammer.
Gudinden Freya havde en kåbe af falkefjer, som hun lånte til Loki, så han kunne finde hammeren.
So Loki put it on, and because he was a shapeshifter, he immediately turned into a bird and flew away to look for that hammer.
Hun gav kåben til Loki, som tog den på og forvandlede sig til en falk og fløj ud efter at finde hammeren.
He quickly thought it must have been a giant who stole the hammer. I am going to go in the land of the giants to find it.
Loki fandt hurtigt ud af, at det var en jætte, der havde stjålet hammeren. Han ville ud og spejde jætternes land.
So he flew, and when he arrived, he saw the chief of the giants, Thrym, waiting for him.
Han fløj ud og så, at jætternes høvding Thrym havde hammeren og stod og ventede på ham.
Loki turned back into his regular god self and demanded, "Do you know what happened to that hammer, Mjolnir?"
Loki forvandlede sig til sin gudeform og fortalte, hvor er hammeren?
Well, Thrym admitted, yes, indeed, he did take that hammer, and he buried it 8 miles below these serpents.
Thrym sagde, ja, det er mig, der har taget hammeren, og jeg har begravet den 8 mil under jorden.
And he said, and it's going to stay there until you bring me Freya to be my bride.
Og han sagde, at der kommer hammeren til at blive, indtil Freya er min brud.
Well, Loki thought, this is not good, and he put on the cloak and he flew back to give the bad news in Asgard.
Loki tog dragten på og fløj tilbage til guderne for at give dem de dårlige nyheder.
Well, no one was happy to hear this, but especially not Freya. And she said, I am not marrying that ugly old giant. And Thor, you better start digging if you want to get that hammer.
Ingen var glade for den nyhed. Især ikke Freya. Hun sagde, hun ville ikke giftes med nogen grim, ensom trold. Og hun sagde til Thor, du må hellere begynde at grave, hvis du vil have din hammer tilbage.
Well, Thor was not willing to dig, so they gathered a council, and then someone had a good idea.
Thor ville i hvert fald ikke grave, så de samledes i samråd, og Heimdall fik en god idé.
So Heimdall said, this is what I think you should do. Thor, why don't you dress as a woman, and you can go and be the bride yourself, and then you'll get back your hammer.
Heimdall sagde, at Thor, du skal klæde dig ud som kvinde og få din hammer tilbage.
And Thor said, no, I don't want to. This is terrible. It's not manly. And if I did it, everyone would mock me for the rest of my life.
Thor sagde, nej, det er ydmygende og umandigt, og hvis jeg gør det, så driller alle mig for resten af mit liv.
But Loki reminded him, if you don't get that hammer, well, the giants are going to come and overtake Asgard. You must do it.
Så sagde Loki, at hvis du ikke får den hammer, så kommer jætterne og overtager Asgård.
And so Thor reluctantly agreed and went to go be dressed.
Thor accepterede tilbageholdende og accepterede at gå hen og blive en bøge.
Well, they brought many fine things. They brought a fine dress, a beautiful veil, and a headdress for his head.
Ingen detalje glemt. Flot kjole, et slør og en brudekrone.
Well, as he looked at him, Loki said, "Perhaps I should come with you as your maidservant."
Loki så på ham og sagde, jeg kommer med som brudepige for at hjælpe.
So the two friends got into the carriage that is drawn by goats and flew through the sky.
Brødrene tog i den gidedrevne karet og fløj til Jotunheim.
As soon as they landed in Jotunheim, they saw that chief of the giants Thrym waiting for them.
Da de ankom til Jotunheim, så de Thrym stå og vente på dem.
And Thrym said, "At last, I will get the reward that I am due, Freya, for my bride."
Thrym sagde, endelig får jeg den pris, som guderne har lært mig.
Well, he called for a feast to be set, but as soon as they began eating, Thor and Loki were in trouble.
Der var en kæmpe middag, men ved middagen var Thor og Loki i problemer.
So Thor, single-handedly by himself, ate an entire ox, ate salmon, and all the pretty little dainty cakes that there were made for the women. Oh no.
Thor spiste alene en hel okse, 8 laks og alle de små ting, som var serveret for kvinderne.
Not to mention drank 3 barrels of mead all by himself.
Og jeg får glemme al den mjød, Thor skulle drikke. Skål!
Well, Thrym was looking with suspicion and said, "I have never in my entire life seen a woman with an appetite like this."
Thor så med mistænksomhed og sagde, jeg har aldrig set en kvinde med så sulten en appetit.
Loki thought, "I must have an explanation." Yes, he said, "Here was the problem. Your bride was so lovesick for you, she was not able to eat for 7 whole days."
Loki kom med et hurtigt svar og sagde, at bruden havde været så forelsket, at man kunne spise i 7 hele dagen.
Well, that made sense to Thrym. And then he was overcome with wishing he could kiss this beautiful bride.
Det tilfredsstillede Thrym, og han blev pludselig overvældet af begæret for at kysse sin brud.
So he lifted up the veil and saw Thor's fierce eyes staring deeply at him.
Thrym løftede sløret og så, at brudens øjne stak som torden og lynild, og blev helt chokeret.
So Thrym was taken aback, said, "Oh my goodness, I have never seen such a fierce look on a woman's face."
Thrym var overrasket og sagde, at han havde aldrig set en kvinde med så intense øjne.
Well, Loki said, "I've got to have an explanation. I know, you know what? Not only was Freya not able to eat for a week, she also didn't even sleep for thoughts of loving you."
Mesteren af bedrag sagde, at det ikke nok med, at bruden ikke kunne spise i 7 dage, men hun ej heller sove, fordi hun var så forelsket.
Well, this made sense to the giant, and so he said, "It's time. Bring the hammer."
Det accepterede Thrym og sagde, det er tid. Tilkald Mjolnir.
And they brought the mighty hammer. Mjolnir. Whoa!
Og Mjølnir blev tilbragt og tilkaldt den mægtige hammer.
Oh, it was so exciting. So they gave it over to Thor to be blessed in her lap. And as soon as she got a hold of that hammer, she reached out and she started, well, hitting and stabbing and all going on and taking them all out.
Da hammeren blev lagt til Thor, tog han hammeren ved håndtaget og slog dem alle sammen ihjel.
And before you know it, Thrym was dead, and all the people at the party were either dead or ran for fear with their life.
Før man vidste, det var Thrym død, derefter alle gæsterne, dem der ikke blev slået ihjel, de flygtede i frygt.
And so then Thor and Loki got back in their chariot, went back home, and changed back into their customary clothes.
Thor og Loki tog tilbage til Asgård i deres karet og skiftede til deres normale tøj.
And so, in the end, there was a lot of food, a lot of vengeance, and overall, a really great wedding.
Så til sidst, en masse mad, en masse hævn, og egentlig et meget godt bryllup.
The end.
Slut.